Good afternoon. We are recording now. This is Topics in World Literature at Tennessee Tech for the fall 2021 semester. This is our second class meeting. I'm Mr. Smith, your instructor. We're starting to get in today to the book called Life of Pi by Yann Martel, a Canadian author. General arc of the story involves a family and a zoo and a boat trip and a catastrophe. And there's a kind of a realistic first part of the story, and then there's the fantastic second part of the story where the protagonist is out at sea and has a relationship with a tiger. It's very cool. Anyway, we're called Richard Parker. In any event, I'm going to be talking more about the theme of religion in this book today. And I would like to just address this question because when you take a literature course, and if you're not used to reading novels and long-form fiction, you might get sort of caught up in just making sure that you're following the plot or the storyline. Sometimes when you read, and popular fiction would be like a beach book or just a paperback you'd buy, at the corner store, at the airport or whatever. But books you read, literature books that you read in college, even stories and novels, sometimes are known as literary fiction, and sometimes the plot can be hard to follow. And several times over the course of my years teaching literature here at the university, I've encountered students who are frustrated because they cannot necessarily follow the storyline as clearly as they would like to, or they don't quite understand what the author is going on about for so many pages. And I just wanted to take this moment to reassure you that our understandings this semester is what those greater topics and takeaways are from the stories, as opposed to being able to just, recount or summarize or delineate what the plot of a story is. So I'm more interested as a scholar of literature, and I want you all to think this way with me, in what are the themes, what are the larger and more important themes that are related to this class, okay? So welcome aboard to Topics in World Literature Day 2, and we're going to unpack kind of a theme for the whole class, but it's a theme that we'll be looking at all semester, but it's a theme that's very, very present in the early, the first 100 pages of Life of Pi before the adventure out on the boat begins. So I've given a title to my talk today. It's complicated, religious identity in Life of Pi, and you are here because you enrolled in Topics in World Literature at Tennessee Tech, and here we are in the end of August 2021. It's still summer, even though school has started. We attempted to say it's fall, and I know they put pumpkins and Halloween stuff out at the store, but it is officially summer until around September 21st. So enjoy. You've got a whole nother 3 weeks or so of summer, and it definitely feels like summer out there today. So enjoy this late summer inauguration of this academic year here at Tennessee Tech. This became very popular symbol over the last several years, and maybe you've seen it on a sign or a poster or a bumper sticker. What this here is about is taking icons from different religions and different beliefs and blending them together. So you will see symbols associated with the major religions of the world. Maybe you can go through and pick them out in your mind. If you have a question about one, you could ask, and what world religion it's associated with. And you see the historic peace sign there that represents harmony even amongst difference. And this is a symbol called, it spells the phrase coexist. And this is an encouragement of people of different worldviews and different religions to get along and live together in peace now, or in coexistence. Some who are not necessarily religious themselves, have argued, contrary to religion, that religion is responsible for wars and violence. And there are historical conflicts. The conflict that's taking place in Israel and Palestine today, the conflict that's taking place in Ireland, especially in Belfast. These are historical conflicts that have lasted generations. that one, you could say that the conflict in the Middle East involves the Muslim community and the Jewish community. You could say the conflict in the Northern Ireland is about the Protestant community versus the Catholic community. And there is violence and lives, beautiful lives have been lost in these conflicts. So one could, if they wanted to suggest that religion and violence have gone together historically, and they would not be entirely wrong. But because so many of these religions and their teachings promote peace, this idea is very, very prominent in the world today. People seeking peace and justice in conflict and injustice around the world. And all of the stories that we're looking at this and poems that we're looking at will somehow come back to this inaugural lecture for the course to discuss and ponder, really, because the questions I'm going to put forth today are not questions with simplistic answers by any means. And you'll see in some of the questions that I put forward today that we don't maybe know the answer to that question, or maybe we feel that on one day, on Tuesday, I would see it this way, but on Wednesday, I would see it another way. That you'll find that some of these questions I'm going to pose in this lecture today are questions that we might be pondering for our entire life. But as a global planetary literature course, a course that traverses, we're going to go places I've never been. Now, I've been to Belfast, but I've never been to Jerusalem. And we're going to go to India, and I've never been to India, though there might be somebody on the call who's from India or knows people who are from India. I certainly have colleagues and friends here in town in Cookville that are from India. And so this relationship between these different traditions is going to be, as it relates to the global art forms of literature, is going to be one of our main topics for this fall 2021 semester in this course. About several more weeks that we have to go studying this through many different stories and many different angles. I was a religious studies nerd. I am a religious studies nerd. We do have a religious studies curriculum here at the university. If you are interested in taking a religious studies class, there's an intro to religious studies. That's a very popular class with one of our colleagues here. I took a theology degree, an advanced theology degree from Vanderbilt, and there I encountered Howard Thurman. I had heard about Howard Thurman before, but when I was studying religion and theology at the academic level, I looked into it a little bit more seriously. And this quote was said to me about Howard Thurman, and it resonated with me so strongly, and it still kind of trips me up. And you can get tripped up if you think about it. It says, what is true in any religion is in the religion because it is true. It is not true because it is in the religion. So you maybe have heard, the Bible says it, that settles it. And there's kind of an obedience that is, many religious devotees, if you will, tend to think of themselves as being pious and obedient people, meaning that they learn the doctrine and the rules of conduct, and they try to adhere to these. And when you don't, you consider that to be a sin or an error upon the practitioner's part. But what Thurman is saying in terms of those belief systems are that they should be held to the highest of standards, that they must be true probably from more than one metric, by more than one rule testing device, that you should be able to have a hypothesis and be able to test that hypothesis in practical terms. And so what Thurman is arguing is that if it is true, it is in the religion because of the truth, not it is true just because the religion said it. So therefore, truth then being the highest and the higher calling. And this is wonderful to me as a person who's a professor, but who also is a religious thinker. And why is this wonderful to me is because this is the pursuit of everything that we do in academia. We place an extremely high level on the truth and on the articulation of the truth and the pursuit of the truth as one of the highest callings. And therefore, science and religion and politics and art necessarily then are not opposing things or disciplines, but rather that they are in concert. So I've been studying this kind of interfaith, and I'll get in a little while, I'll get to the story and just share a little bit from the book that we're reading, Life of Pi, and how this practically ends up with one of our characters in the book. And so this is not just, kind of like out there, but this is going to be extremely practical as it relates to one of the characters that we're looking at today. But check this out, class. There's a religious studies author by the name of Stephen Prothero, and I put his name on the slide here. He wrote a book about studying all the different world religions, and he titled his book "God is Not One." That's what he called his book. But several of the faiths that he's studying in his book have as a claim that they make that God is one. Three of the most popular religions in the world, well, two of the most popular religions of the world are Islam and Christianity, but they both come out of Judaism. Judaism is a much smaller religion, but these are considered to be the Abrahamic religions, and they are monotheistic religions, and they presume the unity of God, right? That God is one. So which of these statements is true? But Professor Prothero, he says, if you look at all the distinctions and the differences between the world religions, because it doesn't just include those three, but there's also Hinduism, and there's also indigenous religion, there's also neo-paganism, and there's also New Age religion, there's Zoroastrianism, there's Taoism, there's Unitarian Universalism. I mean, there's Baha'i faith. We could go on all day. There's a lot more faiths than just Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. There's new religious movements that are very modern. Maybe you might consider Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon religion, to be a new religious movement. There's Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, there's all kinds of hippy-dippy religions and science fiction. There's whole religions that are based on science fiction books. So, class, which is it? If you want to prosper into the if you want to venture, take a stab into the chat window, you can. Which one of these statements is true? Or are they both true? Can you hold more than one view about God at the same time and have them both be true? I'll explain a little bit more about why Professor Prothero believes that religions are not one, and I'll say a little bit more about why our metaphors and our attempts to talk about God are so fraught with mistakes or inaccuracies or vagaries. So I was taught very, very, very young in this one interfaith metaphor that God, him, her, or it, or them, lives at the top of a mountain, and that there are many places that you can take a path, many starting points, many different routes you can take a path to get to the top of the mountain, but that they all lead to the same place. And once you're there, and it's all the same thing once you get to be at God. I've heard this other metaphor that there's all these different rivers and streams. There's there's the Calf Killer River. There's, Dry Creek. There's that there are, the Tennessee River and things of this nature. And all the rivers ultimately take you to the sea or to the ocean. And it is interesting to note that even within Christianity, one of the commenters noted that that different religions they would be different denominations, whether Catholic or Protestant, Baptist, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Methodist, non-denominational, Church of God in Christ, Church of Christ, Pentecostal, and so on, all read essentially the same Bible, though you will find out that there are actually different Bibles. It's still the Bible, the Jewish and the Christian sacred scriptures, but they are not even all the same versions. Catholics and Protestants don't all have the same Bible, but that even within those different denominations, they'll have multiple interpretations. Professor Prothero doesn't like the mountain metaphor. He says the world's religious. That's a typo, and I should have fixed that like the 10 times ago that I was on this slideshow, and that's embarrassing. But I'm going to fix this right in the middle of this lecture, and I'm recording it. So the next time that I will be giving this lecture, I won't have to fix the typo. Then I'll have the typo fixed. I fixed it for you in real time. The world's religious rivals are clearly related, but they are more like second cousins than identical twins. Or maybe he meant to say revivals, and I've just changed the author because I think revivals actually would work there as well. The world's religious rivals are clearly related, but they're more like second cousins than identical twins. Maybe he meant revivals. Maybe he did mean revivals. I'll have to go back and check the source. These are the problem then. What would the problem be, class, with that metaphor then that he is proposing here? Because there's more than one mountain. There's more than one ocean. This would be the problem, according to Professor Prothero, that the different world religions do not all take you to the same God because they don't all even understand God to be the same. What would be the problem? I mean, maybe the Abrahamic faiths. Maybe the Abrahamic faiths mean the same thing, but when a professor at an evangelical university tried to make the point that Islam and Christianity use the same God, she wore a head covering to her Christian university as a woman, and she ended up losing her job at the Christian university after she wore a Muslim head covering to make that point that the creator of the universe is the same person or the same entity, the same energy, or the same force. But you see though now in ancient Aramaic is a language that people believe was spoken by one of the main characters in the Christian tradition, Yeshua, also known as Jesus, was allegedly spoke Aramaic. His word for God was Allah. The word Allah is a noun that means God. It's just the noun in their language that means God. So when a Christian who speaks Arabic says God, they say Allah because it's a noun that means God. It's not a different God than Yahweh, for example. And the Jewish people wouldn't even say that. They believed it was the name that should never be spoken and never even be spelled out. You can't even spell out the word. The word is greater. It means I am that I am. It's greater and more mysterious than anything we could ever possibly comprehend or imagine in our feeble little human pea brains. And so we can't even say the name, should not even say the name. But let's take an example, class, and you get outside of Christianity and Judaism and Islam. Let's take Buddhism, for example. Why, class, does anybody who's ever looked at Buddhism know why, for example, it's not the same thing? Why is it not the same thing? Or Hinduism, or paganism, especially if it's based on the Greco-Roman pantheon. If it's ancient paganism, or if it's a reconstructed paganism that looks at a pantheon of gods and goddesses. Why does the mountain metaphor or the river to the ocean metaphor completely break down if you're comparing, say, Christianity to Buddhism, or Judaism or Islam to pagan beliefs. Why is it not all the same? All religions are the same because they preach love. Where's the differences, the distinctions here that I'm talking about? What are you going to find out if you actually looked at it and unpacked it and took it really seriously? Would you find that they're all the same, class? What's the major difference with Buddhism? Does anybody have any basic? You can type your answer in the chat. Any basic? Since I am recording right now, you can go ahead and type your answer in the chat. Any basic grasp of Buddhism or Hinduism to show how they're so radically different in their understandings of just the basic schematic of the divine, that it would be so profoundly different that you wouldn't be able to just mush them all together and say, oh, it's all the same. It's all one. I hope you will type your answer. Yes, exactly. Buddhism is not even theistic. Thank you. Excellent answer. Buddhism doesn't even have a concept of supernatural theism. A little vocabulary phrase for your religious studies advancement here. Supernatural theism. The Buddhist understanding is most Buddhists are non-theists. They don't believe in a supernatural kind of understanding of God. And yes, the Hindus have so many different gods. You can't just mush, Jesus in with all the other gods in that pantheon, which makes the thing that Pi does in this book all the more amazing and audacious and beautiful and crazy and foolish. What we're going to see that Pi does. So I'm going to give you guys an anonymous survey. I hope you will please answer it. If we have time, I'm going to unpack the results of this survey today. It's extremely short. You can do it while I am lecturing today, but it's a basic religious understanding and religious literacy survey. And I'd love to see just kind of a map of the class, just to see who we all are in all of our diverse understandings. And so basically there's some very fundamental basic questions about religion to grasp whether you've been trained in some of these things before. Maybe you took a class in church or in high school that prepared you for this little mini quiz. Also, it does ask a couple of basic questions of your identity or lack of identity therein, but it's purely for just to get a grip of who we are as a diverse class on this particular call. We've got more than 30 people on the call here, topics in World Lit's fall 2021 semester. But it is anonymous. I'm not taking any of your personal information on that survey, so I won't be tracking this back to you individuals. So please, oh, that is no fun. Let me see if I can make this public. Let's see here. Thank you for telling me that right away. That's just no fun. All right, I believe I changed the preferences. I'm going to go ahead and make a new link. It did say it was restricted. I did try to make that a totally public link now, and I'm going to try to change that again. I just made a new link. See if that one works. I believe that I've made it a public link now. Can you guys go ahead and give that a try? And I'm making this recording in real time. The professor is a flawed and completely, no, it's not working. No dice, they said. Let's see here. Trying again a third time, and I'm gonna. I love technology when it works. I spent a good friendly amount of time on this survey, so I'm going to be really frustrated. I'm going to open it from another account and see if I can get it to work that way. So this is that point where the professor could get really frustrated, and the sweat would be pouring down my face, and I'm going to just keep plugging on. I do really want your input on this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's really fun to do these kinds of interactive things, and I worked really hard on it. So I'm going to try my my goshest here to get this thing going here.